All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the weekly watch list video brought to you by DeepView. This is my daily driver for charting, research, fundamentals, screening, watch lists, alerts, and a lot more. If you want to check this out, go to deepview.com. It'll be linked down below. And before we dive into the market analysis, looking at the indexes, as well as going through my current watch list and what I'm looking for next week, I do want to mention that we are currently running a Labor Day sale. It's only today here. You can save up to 60% off masterclasses with John Boyk, Stan Weinstein, the market legend, Oliver Kell, Master Trading Psychology with Jared Tendler, as well as the excellent Lifecycle Trade team and the masterclass that they put together. So go ahead over to traderline.com/university if you're interested in. You can really level up your trading with a lot of these. These helped accelerate my learning curve, and I know they'll help you as well. So with that, let's go ahead and dive right in. First, looking at QQQ, let's bring that up here. You can see here we've had a nice run for now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. We did have a little bit of hesitation here on Thursday, as well as a gap up, and not the best close here. We did rally off lows, but a little bit of a pause here. And for me, this is completely normal. We're back above the moving averages. That's the most important thing. But we may be due for a little bit of consolidation, and honestly, that would be very constructive. Now that we're back above a rising 21 EMA, I think you can treat individual stocks on their own merit. But on the actual indexes, I'd like to see a little bit of a drift back in towards these levels. And the high of this day right here, as well as the 50-day moving average, would be a kind of logical spot if we do pull back in. But as of right now, my view is we're back in an uptrend, and things are acting constructive. And on an individual stock basis, on a group basis, things are acting pretty well. Growth stocks are rallying. Packaged software is a theme that I noticed this week, and that's why I've got so many on my watch list, which we'll go through in just a second. Oil and gas names continue to act really well. CEIX is one I'm currently in. We'll see how this acts later on, but this whole group is rocking and rolling. Also, some other themes. We've got cybersecurity, which is acting well. So there's kind of a wide breadth of things to watch out for. Many stocks moved really nicely last week, and like the indexes might be due for a short-term pause, but overall things are definitely shaping up. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in to my focus list for this week. Some of these may need 1 or 2 more days, a little bit more tightening, like this one, AAOI, but we'll have to see what comes out of that. So first things first. This is in the semiconductors group. Again, that's one of the leading groups that I'm focused on personally. We've had a super strong rally off lows, had a base form, broke out of this, and now we're kind of rallying and consolidating above this prior base pivot. So kind of a base on base type action. This is a fast mover. You can see this is up 8%. And let's actually open up the data panel. I've got the ADR here. 10 days is 12%. So expect good moves and big ranges from this name. But if we do form a tight range against the 21 EMA, I'll look for a breakout through some highs or find a short-term pivot here where I can manage, my risk pretty easily. Or if we form a range, gap down below it, rally back through that range, I'll look to buy and manage my risk versus that low. So this is AAOI, more of a performance enhancer type name, a swing trade type name, but definitely one that's been extremely powerful this year. Fundamentals aren't super amazing down here, not much growth to speak of, but the chart itself is what I'm focused on, and this is definitely one of the strongest stocks in the market just based on a yearly performance, last 3-month performance basis. So that is that stock. ABNB, bringing up this one, this pushed through this pivot a little bit on Friday, and after hours it gapped up big on the S&P 500 inclusion news. So basically I'll be watching to see how it acts versus that gap, and if there's a potential setup that emerges where I can manage risk. But I like the story of this name, but so far within its lifetime, it hasn't done too much except frustrate everybody, but we could be moving up the right-hand side of this longer-term base. Moving on, we've got AI, and this has earnings. If we go ahead and highlight the flag here, September 6th, so keep an eye out for that. And this flag is super handy in DeepView. Always want to stay on top of when your stocks, as well as the stocks you're interested in, are reporting. So this is definitely really helpful. And I'm watching just for a huge gap up on volume, and then a setup where I can manage risk off of that. AMGN, this group, biotech as well was pharma, in general has been acting pretty well. Really powerful move here on volume. Now it's consolidated, pulled back into 21 EMA. Not much huge down volume during this pullback. And now we're going sideways and tight. And you've got a few pivots here where you've got these highs, as well as kind of the more weekly pivot back here around 260. So around 259 to 260 is an actual area. I want to see a volume push through that level. Moving on, we've got ASAN. This is another one in the package software group that's acting well. It's got earnings. Again, I'm watching for a powerful move upwards on volume. I'm also watching MNDY in the same space. But overall, this is, it's pulled back hard since this move, but is setting up a stage 1 base here, and a breakout could start a potential new stage 2 uptrend, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. AUR, this is a very fast mover, a very speculative name. You can see it doesn't have revenues as of yet, but I believe it's in the kind of AI driving trucking space, and really nice, powerful chart pattern, really tight here on the right-hand side. So again, more of a swing trade, even day trade type name. ADR is quite high as well, around 7%, and overall, can lead to some nice, powerful moves. It's also a very cheaper price stock, so a lot cheaper than I usually put on this list. But I figured there's some traders out there who like this type of name, so here's an idea for you if you would like it. BBIO, really nice gap up on huge volume. Now it's consolidating, forming a base. You've got a pivot around 31.14, looking for a strong price move through that level on a pickup in volume. Pretty simple there. IONQ, similarly, very powerful move. Now within a base, I'd like to see maybe an inside day, a few days tightness here on the right-hand side, but you've got kind of that pivot around 1747, and you've got really nice revenue growth here. It's not profitable just yet, but definitely one to keep an eye on. And let's see their quantum computing, I believe. Let's hover over here. On any stock in DV, you can hover over the name and get a quick blurb about what they do. So yeah, they do quantum computing, which is a new and developing field. Moving on, we've got IoT. You can see my notes here. I posted kind of a quick analysis on Twitter, I think on Friday. Super strong, powerful move on earnings. And you can see if you hover over here, they beat earnings estimates by 150%. That's definitely significant, and it was a surprise profit as well. So definitely, potential catalyst there for a continued move. Very strong bar on this day right here when, not much else was moving on that day. You could have bought it through this high, but I'll be watching, me personally, for some type of tightness, some type of range, a spot where I can manage risk after this powerful move. But I love the overall chart pattern. Nice cup shape here. And it's right near all-time highs and blue skies. So definitely a name to at least have it on your watch list and wait for a spot where you can manage risk, a setup that you've studied that repeatedly produces winners. Moving on, we've got MNDY, and you can see how many packaged software names are here. That's a key theme I noticed. This is consolidating, still stage 1. Maybe this is the first base here of a potential stage 2 after a really strong IPO move. Got destroyed in the 2022 bear market like a lot of stocks, but you've got decent revenue growth, and you can see fluctuating earnings growth here. But I like the base that's forming. We had a little bit of a changing character, gap up here, a nice move, and now forming out a base, double bottom base here. You've got the standard pivot up here near 185, but I'm watching for some tightness to form for an early entry, and I like the upside reversal on Friday. Ideally, you get a few more days of consolidation tightness. It's not quite the character of the stock to do that. It's a little bit wide and loose, so you might have to settle for a range like this or a range like this down here. But just want to keep an eye on nice revenue growth, as I mentioned. Moving on, we've got GEN, and this is in the cybersecurity space. Let's go ahead and hover over here, and yeah, you can see Norton Avast, LifeLock, and this is a theme that I noticed was setting up pretty well. CrowdStrike, PanW, Okta, all those are kind of moving nicely, and this was nice and tight, so I'm keeping an eye on this one. You can see the chart pattern overall. It's got a lot of overhead supply, but overall has been acting pretty well. Moving on, we've got NVDA. This is just the leader that I'm watching here. I'd like to see it form a tight pattern over here over the base pivot. Oracle, this has earnings as well. If we hover on that, September 11th, nice tight pattern here, potentially actionable through these highs, but you definitely want to make sure you've got enough cushion before that earnings report. REGN, same space kind of as AMGN, or kind of same type of theme sector. And I'm watching for a breakthrough this pivot around 837.33. Nice move off these lows. SMCI, definitely some flaws in here. This gap down to me is a flaw. This big downside reversal is a flaw. But from this day, you'd expect it to push lower, and it hasn't yet. So I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt, at least putting it on my watch list because it has really strong leadership potential. But it may need a lot more time than this. We'll just have to wait and see. And I'd like to see it, firm up a few more days to form a nice pivot. And lastly, we've got Upwork, definitely potentially actionable within the next few days, nice and tight the last 2 days, 3 days here within the closes, and acting really well after this earnings gap. So that's pretty much it for my watch list. We've run through a few names. In general, a lot of stocks made big moves last week. So some type of consolidation would be warranted and pretty healthy as well. It set up even better charts. So we'll have to see if these make some good moves this week, or if we need a little bit more time to, get rid of that oversold in the short term feeling. So thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on these names down below. If you're still watching at this point, please go ahead and make sure you left a like down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.